Star, see that out. Star, copies all, go ahead. Message to observer, Alpha 3 rounds, AT delay in effect, 3 guns.
What's up, y'all? This is Eric Curry here again with Warfighter University. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, we'll take a close look at the developing situation in the Caribbean. I'll start by saying everything that we'll discuss is open source. We'll focus in particular on the recent surge of U.S. military activity, regional reactions, and what it means for both U.S. national security and the countries of the Caribbean basin. As always, I'm approaching this from a leadership, readiness, and military-centric lens while remaining politically neutral in terms of party or ideology. Let's start by setting the stage. Over the past several months, the United States Southern Command, or SOUTHCOM, has increased its operational posture in the Caribbean Sea region, especially in waters adjacent to the coasts of Venezuela and the island nation of Trinidad and Tobago. At the same time, we've seen lethal strikes on maritime craft allegedly involved in transnational drug trafficking, the deployment of U.S. carrier and amphibious assets, and sharp diplomatic friction with Venezuela and other regional players. For the U.S., the stated aim is clear: operationalize war on drugs in the maritime domain to protect the homeland, disrupt illicit flows, and preserve stability in our immediate hemisphere. From a U.S. military readiness perspective, this is a significant pivot. The Caribbean is becoming more strategically active again. Let's look at three key areas of what's happening. Number one is asset and force buildup. The U.S. has deployed multiple naval vessels, including destroyers, amphibious ships, carrier strike assets, and marine expeditionary units into the Caribbean theater. For example, the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group has shifted from the Mediterranean into the region as a part of the expanded mission. Aside from ships, maritime patrol aircraft, special operations teams, and counter-narcotics task forces are active, with the region now hosting one of the largest U.S. military presences in decades. Number two is lethal maritime strikes and interdiction. Beginning in early September 2025, the U.S. military announced it had struck vessels in the Caribbean Sea that it alleged were carrying illegal narcotics and were affiliated with cartel or guerrilla elements. These operations have reportedly resulted in dozens of fatalities, and they have raised questions about their legal basis and their broader strategic implications. Number three is the regional political and economic fallout. These operations haven't occurred in a vacuum. The government of Venezuela has responded by suspending energy agreements with Trinidad and Tobago, citing what they call hostile U.S.-backed military actions. Meanwhile, smaller Caribbean nations and maritime communities are voicing concern about safety, sovereign rights of coastal states, and the economic impact of increased military and interdiction operations, particularly to fishing, tourism, and local maritime trade. As someone who has planned and led military operations, I want to highlight why this matters on three levels. Number one is U.S. homeland security and readiness. The Caribbean remains a transit zone for illicit drugs, weapons, and other destabilizing flows towards the United States. Disrupting those flows at sea, denying staging areas for traffickers, and projecting U.S. maritime power serves our strategic depth. From a readiness perspective, the redeployment of high-end naval and amphibious assets into the region sends the signal that the joint force must remain agile, globally postured, and able to shift rapidly, even in what many call low-intensity or non-traditional operations. Number two is regional stability and partnership. The U.S. military's presence and cooperation with regional partner nations can strengthen deterrence, enhance maritime domain awareness, and build interoperability. For many Caribbean nations, U.S. support can mean improved maritime patrol capability, training, intelligence sharing, and law enforcement linkages. From a leadership perspective, these partnerships are force multipliers, especially in austere maritime environments where traffickers exploit geography, jurisdictional gaps, and weak governance. Number 3 is risk of escalation and mission creep. On the flip side, increased force posture and lethal operations carry risk: legal, diplomatic, and operational. The question of whether drug trafficking organizations rise to the level of unlawful combatants remain contentious. Moreover, the possibility of unintended civilian casualties, sovereign violations, and regional blowback may complicate the mission. If a mission drifts from counter-narcotics into regime change or armed conflict, the cost and complexity rise significantly. Here's how I assess the situation and what I believe the U.S. military should focus on moving forward. The U.S. has regained initiative in the maritime domain of the Caribbean, and that is positive for U.S. security. At the same time, the operational environment is volatile. Venezuela and other state and non-state actors will interpret increased U.S. presence as strategic posturing or even threat escalation. For troops and units, this means we must remain mission ready, legally grounded, and culturally and regionally informed. My recommendation would be to 1, clarify mission scope and legal authority. Number 2 would be to strengthen partner nation capacity and intelligence fusion. Number 3 is maintain escalation control and strategic messaging. 4 would be focus on civilian protection and maritime safety. And then 5, back in the effort with interagency coordination. In closing, the developing situation in the Caribbean highlights a pivotal moment for U.S. maritime strategy in our hemisphere. The U.S. military's increased presence, enhanced readiness, and strategic focus on narcotics and transnational criminal organizations marks a shift. From my perspective, as one who values operational readiness, mission clarity, and partnership with allied forces, I believe this move is both necessary and timely. But it also carries risk that must be actively managed. For viewers, keep in mind that while the headline may read U.S. warships in the Caribbean, the real work is in domain awareness, partnership, law enforcement integration, and ensuring that we're not simply projecting power, but enabling stability. The leadership challenge is clear: align military capability, strategic intent, partner nation engagement, and host nation sovereignty in a cohesive framework. Hey, that's all I have for you today. If you found this video to be informative, please like, comment, and share your thoughts below, especially questions you might have about U.S. maritime strategy, partner nation cooperation, or the readiness implications for our force. Don't forget to subscribe for more leadership-oriented breakdowns of global security developments from a U.S. military readiness and operational planning lens. Until next time, stay ready and watch with intent.